Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Another Tuesday Night Live. This is the last one before the No Business 100. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one. I've got a special guest tonight that is also doing the race. It's my good friend Russell House. So we're going to have him on here in just a minute. But yeah, we already got some people in the house, got some comments going. As usual, we're going to roll the intro and let a few more people show up. So thank you guys for joining. Stick around and I'll be right back. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Should hear me now. Okay. Well, sometimes that happens when you're live. But yeah. So Plots 33's in the house, Labe's in the house, Matt Roberts is in the house, and Mandy's here. So thank you all. We are going to be talking about No Business 100. I am getting ready. I'm sort of I've got some of my stuff laid out. This is really weird. I'm starting to get ready early for this race. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. No sound. Should have sound now, right? You can hear me now. I can see the bars going. So that was totally my fault. Sorry, guys. I could hear myself. It just wasn't sending to the computer and then to the internet. What's up? We got Jen Rumi from Sydney, Australia. Just shout out for my friend Hector Rodriguez, who just finished Moab 240. Nice. My good friend John Truelove just finished Moab 240 as well. I know there's not a whole lot of races going on, so there was a lot of buzz on the internets about Moab 240 this week. So there's still people out there running, I believe. Awesome. Everyone says that the audio is good. Moses Santiago says, hi, this is my first time watching you live. Great. Thanks for joining. All right, so let's just let's see if this works. We're gonna bring Russell in here. This is the first time I've used this new software for calling, so we're just gonna see. It looks like the guest is here, which is what my software says, and we're gonna add Russell. There we go. What's up, Russell? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome.
How's it going?
Good. So yeah, No Business coming up in just a couple days.
I am so excited.
Awesome. What are you doing for prep right now?
I've been doing a lot of stuff. I've been on a taper for, I think this is either the second or third week of a taper now. I had a big 78-mile week back at the end of September, which was kind of my litmus test. I was all right, if I can get through this, with very little issues, I'll be fine for No Business. And it went pretty well. So just kind of like, easing back off the mileage, eating a lot, working on getting a lot of sleep as well, just because I know
Mm,
we're not going to be getting much sleep during the race. So
yep.
biggest thing I guess now is I've already kind of started the journey because um, today I actually drove out to Michigan to stay with one of my crew members, and we're going to carpool down to the race site on Thursday for packet pickup. Just because saving on gas, and it's actually closer to get to the race site from his house than my house, so it's a shorter drive for me. So
Nice. Nice. So you're already on the trip.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I spent like probably way more time than I should have last night packing, um,
Mm-hmm.
and just getting everything I know I'm gonna need, and then like extra of everything I probably won't need. Like I have like a puffy jacket, which I don't think I'm going to need, and some.
I don't
I mean,
know.
looking at the weather, it is going to get a little cold, but like this is my
Uh-huh.
like big
Yeah.
giant puffy down
Yeah.
jacket and
Yeah.
some other miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got pretty much all of my running gear is probably going to be brought to this race.
Hmm.
Like all of my, like maybe not all my warm stuff. That's not true. I'm only bringing like a very small amount of warm clothes, but pretty much all of my cold gear is going. I'm going to have like pants in every drop bag, a jacket in every drop bag. Like
Yeah, I'm
I'm just
I'm the
going to try
same
and be
way. I
ready.
have like jackets and like backup jackets. I'm keeping a very close eye on the weather because when I left Pennsylvania this morning, the high for the race day was 51,
Mm-hmm.
and then I checked
Yeah.
like 10 minutes ago and it's now 55. So it's all over the place. Just
Yeah.
kind of trying to be ready for everything in terms of like weather and wetness because it wasn't supposed to rain on Friday and now it's supposed to rain a little bit, and so
Yeah.
just kind of figuring out what's gonna work.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Like I purposely didn't check the weather until Sunday, just because I don't know. Like I mean, obviously, everyone knows it gets more accurate the closer you get to the race,
Hmm.
and it's not as accurate farther out. So, but yeah, like right now, it's looking like a little bit of rain overnight before the race, and then like 50s all day Friday, then getting down to like 33 or 34 on Friday night. So that's gonna be cold.
Yeah, I
So
think it's gonna be good during the day, and then once the temperature drops at night, I'm definitely gonna probably put in like the Duncan Hollow drop bag my like either a jacket or a long sleeve shirt, just because I know it's by the time it gets dark, it's just gonna get cold really fast.
right, right. So how did you come to decide on no business, and then how did we how did we actually meet? Uh, I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. I guess answering the first question, I was originally supposed to run the Vermont 100 this year. I entered the
That's
lottery and I
right.
was
Mm-hmm.
luckily drawn for that. I was real excited. It got canceled like most other races, and then I was extraordinarily lucky last year in December to be accepted onto Goo Energy's Salty Squad team. And when they accepted me, they had some comp tickets for certain races, and one of them was the Ultra Trails Lake Tahoe, which was
Oh
supposed to
yeah.
take place in September, which was a 100 miler, which, I've
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to go Lake Tahoe, but again, also got canceled. So I
Yeah.
was kind of looking for, another race to do. I was actually, before No Business, I was eyeing a backyard race, a backyard ultra in Kentucky in November. But then as I was going through ultra sign up, as, many ultra runners like to do,
Yeah.
on a whim, looking at different races, doing like 100 what
Yeah.
if scenarios. I found
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at October and was just like, I could probably pull off being ready by October. This was back in, I think, like late July.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I saw No Business. The more I read about it, the more I was just like, wow, looks really pretty. I really like, I like destination races, and just like stuff that, looks like it could be a challenge. And so the more I looked into it, and how it was put together and, all that kind of stuff, I was just like, yeah, this looks something I would really like. And so I put myself on the wait list while still having like my A list be that backyard ultra, but it was just like, I was, I think,
Mm-hmm.
like 30th on the wait list at the time when I signed up. And it was just like, this is like, put on the back burner. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, all of a sudden I was like in the top 10, and it was just like, wait a minute, this might be happening. Um, so, and then, lo and behold, I got picked up off the wait list, and here we are, and I'm
Yeah.
extremely excited for it. But for the two of us, I remember, because I reached out to you. I was watching when I was training for Kettle, the Kettle 100, which was my first 100 miler last year. I would, on days when I wasn't, especially long run days when I wasn't feeling entirely motivated, I would usually go to YouTube before my run and like either watch something by Billy Yang, the Ginger Runner, stuff like that. And then in my recommended feed was a race of Run Rabbit Run, and I was just like, ooh, let's click on this. And then there you popped up.
Nice.
I noticed from like the beginning of the video that you were in an airport, and I was like, that looks a lot like the Indy airport. And so
Uh-huh.
after I watched the video, I decided to like look you up on Instagram, and then it was just
Nice.
like, oh crap, he's not just in Indiana, he's at Purdue,
Yeah.
and I'm at Purdue. This is amazing. So I messaged you on Instagram one day. I don't know if this was before or after you announced when you were planning on doing the Super Slam. I think it was after,
Oh,
because I was
yeah.
just
Mm.
like, hey, you're running the Kettle 100. I'm also running the Kettle 100, and it seems like we live like right next to each other.
Yeah.
And then, we talked a little bit, and then eventually we went on our first run together, which I believe was at the Tippecanoe Amphitheater. And then,
Yep.
it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of took off
Oh,
from
yeah.
there. And then,
Nice.
like, back early last year, I remember we were like doing long runs there all the time, which
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally forgot about that. That's
And
awesome.
also, you were also filming OPSF, which I was already signed up for
Yes.
when that happened too. So it was just like a perfect storm. Like my like
Yeah.
first two big ultra marathons you were going to be at, and then by
Yeah.
happenstance we're also now both going to be at No Business as well, because that was a
Yeah.
coincidence also.
That was a total coincidence. Yeah, when I had no idea, like I knew that you from, when we were running in the spring and stuff, you had mentioned
Hmm.
the two races that you were going to do. And then I knew they kind of got canceled, so I had no idea. But then I was like, a bunch of my friends did what was it? The race in Ohio, Burning River, and
Yeah.
I was like just a few weeks away from being where I probably could have been ready for that race, and it was a really tough decision for me not to do Burning River, but ends up that it was a good decision. And so then I knew, I'm like, okay, like afterwards, a couple weeks after, I was like, dang, I know I'm ready. I'm ready, like to do 100, like in a few weeks. And so I was searching through Ultra Sign Up and saw No Business. And I knew that a couple of my friends had done this a few years ago and said it was absolutely beautiful. And there's a couple people I know said it's their favorite race ever. And they've done lots of races.
Wow.
Like, because of the landscape, like how beautiful it is, like all of the
Hmm.
rock formations and just the different areas that you go through. But yeah, so I looked at it and I was like, oh shoot, there's a wait list. And there's like 25 people on it. And then all of a sudden it's like you were on it. You were like number 10 or something. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, I saw
shoot.
that Facebook message. I was just like, oh hi.
Yeah. I looked you up and I'm like, all right, I messaged you. I'm like, dude, I'm thinking about doing this race. You're on the wait list. And
Yeah.
it was, and then all of a sudden you got in, and then like a week or two later, I think he pretty much let everyone in off the wait list because
Yeah, he
there had to
opened
have been
like
a
the.
bunch of people that had canceled or deferred or something, because there's still only like 200 people in the race, but there's probably
Mhm.
40 people that got in off the wait list over the last 2 months.
Yeah,
So,
it was very interesting. Like I was all over the place in terms of, because I knew I wanted to do some type of event this year, because I was
mhm.
very lucky. I got to run the Belmonte 50
Oh, nice.
back in March, and we talked about this. It was probably one of the last ultra marathons that happened before the country shut down. Like
Mm.
you were going to run
Yep.
OPSF the very next weekend,
And that
and
got
it
shut
was like
down. Yep.
it was
Mm.
the dialogue was happening with,
Yeah.
like, I was following the news about them shutting down the country at like in the coming days, and we got an email like 2 days out from the race director, and we're all expecting it to be canceled, and they're like, all right, we're going to squeeze this one in.
Hmm.
And they put in like the best COVID-19 protocols they could for the information that we had at the time.
Hmm.
This was before recommended mask mandates, but they had like they still had minimal contact, hand sanitizer out the wazoo, stuff like that. So it was still, I think, run pretty well. But after that, I was, that was kind of one of the, I don't want to say a tune up, but I was just doing the 50 miler so I could, expecting in July to run the 100. And then, it would happen. So I was, I was spending a lot of the summer looking at different, I was looking at different FKT attempts to try out in Pennsylvania by where I lived. I was looking at the backyard ultras, a couple other 100 milers, either in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. And then I was even considering one in Colorado at one point. But yeah, no business. Just the timing was perfect. Once I looked at it, it was just I can train for that. I have enough time to train for this. And then I also, the way it looks, what people were saying about it and the pictures I saw was just this is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And your first 100 went really well. You went sub 24. What was your finish time at the Kettle 100?
I'm gonna have to look. I believe it was 23:29 something. I remember
Nice.
it was under 23 and a half hours.
Nice.
But yeah, it was the perfect day. I mean, I made mistakes, especially your first time, you always make mistakes. There was one, it was somewhere in the 80s, I saw a friend that I was running with back in the 40s. I was just oh, Brian. And then I just started to sprint up to catch up to him. And then I tried pacing him for 5 minutes. And then I was walking for 20. It was really bad. But on the whole, yeah, it was one of the best days I think I've ever had, just in general. It was everything I expected 100 to be.
Nice. So what were some of the things that you learned from that one? Maybe, because there's always, there's going to be times where you go through super dark moments and super uplifting moments. But what were some of the things that you walked away from that first 100 with, that are, that you were okay, I can take this into the next one and maybe do better or something that?
Yeah. I think some of this is I'm going to have to experiment with this race, just because I feel it's going to take until maybe 5 100 milers to actually be take from just what happened one time and see if it translates to other races. But I think I went out a little too fast. One thing I was good with was I promised myself that I would walk all the uphills, which I did almost the entire race. But during the flat and downhill sections, I was looking at my splits the other week about it, because I was trying to get a gauge, what was I pushing for Kettle to get sub 24. And I noticed that I was in the at one point in the 9s and 10s and 11s, during the first 100K practically. And then once I got into the back half, especially late at night, I think my longest miles were almost 20 minutes. But that was dead of the night, couldn't see everything going up and down these hills and stuff. So going to try to be a little bit more conservative pacing at the front end. I know with Belmonte, I tried going out too fast, and that was something I definitely learned from, because I was doing 8:30 stuff during Belmonte for the first marathon, and then just completely blew up after that. So trying to do that to see if I can't keep a more consistent pace in ideally anywhere in the 12 to 13s or 14s, if I can make that sub 24, but just something where I can be running more. And then I think getting a variety of nutrition was something else that I realized that I was eating a lot of the same flavors and stuff, which was, after the fifth caramel or something in in the span of 3 or 4 hours, you're just okay, I need to add something different to my palate. So when I bought the goo for this race, I was just all right, I'll take 2 of these. So it's always shaking it up. And then also eating real food, not too much to make me feel heavy or anything, because that can also cause its own problems. But having something I remember both with OPSF and with Kettle, anytime I had a grilled cheese sandwich, it was just an instant way to kick off a runner's high. It happened every time. I remember every time I've had one, I just immediately feel filled with energy. If they could make a packaged version of that came out steaming hot, I would be investing millions of dollars into it that I don't have.
Yeah. No, I hear you
But
on that. The variation in goos was a good piece of advice, because I've been on both sides of that, and so now I just like I don't even know what to do with like flavors. Like I just get a bunch of like maybe three
hmm
kinds that I like, because I've had it where I'm in a race and like I pull out a drop bag and there's like a little Ziploc bag and it's got like 5 gels and they're all different flavors, and I'm just like, ugh, I only want one of these, you know. Like
yeah,
it's like, oh great at that point. So like for this race, well then what was I gonna say is that I've also been on the other side where, yeah, I took like 20 salted caramels to a race, and like 30 miles into it, I'm like, I'm done with these. Like,
I think something else that I added for this race is like changing the textures as well,
mhm,
because like goo is great. I really like using it as fuel, but like there's only so much of it you can take before you just like you need something like that's why I'm also like packing Stroop waffles and like chews and
yeah,
stuff like that. And when I go to aid stations, like I'll be looking for crunchy things like chips and stuff like that, because too much of the same texture, just like it gets so monotonous, that like every time you eat it, you're just like, all right, here's another one, and
mhm,
it keeping things like changing and stuff, I think is very helpful.
yeah. No, I agree. And I just got off from we just got like a Walmart delivery today, and I got my last, I think the last uh things of nutrition. It's funny we call them nutrition because they're really not. They're really
Yeah,
candy. But I've got like I'm
yeah.
using all Spring Energy gels, 3 different flavors, and then I've got some Cliff Bars, a couple different flavors. But I found these like mini Cliff Bars that are only
Oh,
like 100 or 110 calories, and I think those are going to be like really like perfect to eat out on the trail, because I've always like I love like eating like a Cliff Bar or something, some sort of granola
hmm
bar or something. You know, it's easy to pack and all that. But I've found that like sometimes those big ones are just like way too much, and then I don't want to like wrap it up and put it in so like sometimes I just don't
yeah,
even end up pulling it out of my drop bag. But I think these small ones are going to be nice, and I think I'll be able to, like you said, like supplement gels with real food, as real as a runner's going to get in the middle of the night,
yeah.
you know. And I don't know what the aid stations are going to look like. Like I've been following the Facebook group. Like I deleted Facebook
hmm
off my phone like a month or two ago, so the only time I get it is like on my computer. But like I check in every once in a while, trying to like follow up on the No Business group, and it sounds like some of the aid
Yeah.
stations might have hot food in the night.
Yeah,
So
that's the gist I was getting, which I'm really excited for. I know the runner's manual like listed some things, but I also know that with COVID and stuff, things can be changed really quickly.
yeah,
Um, Clearly, it's going to be a different experience, having the mask over our face, and we can't just go up and dip our whole hand in like a thing of M&Ms, or
yeah,
um, we're not definitely not having the communal tub of Vaseline with like the popsicle sticks or something like that.
yeah.
That's not going to be a thing this year, but I am really
Sorry to everyone
appreciative.
that's not up on like the ultra running scene, but that's a real
Yeah.
thing.
Um,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it, it was just like, what do people do with this?
Yeah, I
Um,
remember my first
but
time seeing it too. I was like, "What is that?"
yeah,
You
because I
see
mean, I
someone.
always I always keep like a thing of squirrel's nut butter like in my
Yeah,
pack, because I'm like I'm not sharing with anyone.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
but they do use like popsicle sticks, so you don't have to actually touch it, but
yeah.
still the concept.
Uh huh.
But I'm happy, from what I've seen from what the race director said and like all the posts on social media, is that like they're really like taking it to a next level, because they want this race to go off as much as all the runners do. So
Yeah.
they're really doing whatever they can to make it possible. So like I will gladly go with whatever intricacies these aid stations are going to have, and whatever hoops I have to jump through, because like the
Right.
fact that they're just out there in the first place is awesome.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Uh, it will be a totally different experience, walking up to an aid station and sanitizing your hands and requesting food. But I'm not like that disappointed about it, because I always thought aid stations like they're gross and like
Yeah.
I mean it not until like mile like 80 or so do I stop caring about what like like okay, fine, I'll have like these chips that are obviously super stale and probably have 10 other people's sweat on them. Like,
Yeah.
but for the first half of the race, I always am just like, this is so gross. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be something that catches on. Single serving
There's going to
stuff.
be a few things that are going to be interesting this year that are different, like not having a gun start except for the
Yeah.
elites. Is That's going to be an interesting thing. Being able to, I guess, pick your start time. It's nice because I don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to get ready for the race anymore, which gives a better
Yeah.
night's sleep the night before. But at the same time, it's I'm sure with, especially if I get there closer to the 10:15 time when they're going to start letting people trickle out. Like I'm sure you're still going to get that race feel, because there's still going to be groups of people going out, but you don't have that big pack at the beginning, which is fine, because one, that'll make sure that I actually go out at my own pace and not whatever the leaders are doing, because you always get that like little adrenaline rush once they say go. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
should be interesting.
So what are you thinking for your start? Because the elites start at 10, and then they're going to start letting the normal people go at 10:15.
Everyone else.
Yeah.
Um,
You didn't sign up for the elite section, did you?
no,
Okay.
No, I mean, with the situation, I mean, first off, I don't even consider myself an elite. Any like laurels that I get from a race are just like, they're just like icing on the cake. But like, I'm not like, I'm going for personal goals with these races mostly. And yeah, whatever else comes out of it is great. But I think I'm aiming for, I want to get closer to 10:15, just because I'm trying to like milk as much daylight as I can, just because the time of year that we're in now, a lot of the race is going to be in the dark, is what I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the sun sets at like 6 p.m. or something, and it doesn't rise until like 6:30 the next morning. So, and it's
Yeah.
not it's not now because of the later start. It's not going to be in like the late stages of the race where like the sun didn't go down for me during Kettle until like around in between mile 60 and mile 70. But this is going to be a lot earlier than that. Um,
Yeah.
so
Let me see if I
it'll
can.
be
So check this
interesting.
out. I want to see if I can get your camera on the screen. Oh, that didn't
Well,
work.
there's us again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna just pull this up because we've got. Well, now none of it's working.
It's all right.
Yeah. So here we go. This is the. Have you been to this website,
I
ultrapacer.com?
saw someone post it on the Facebook group. I've looked at it a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm kind of undecided what I want to do this year in terms of like pacing myself, because I feel like a lot like I really do well when I run off of like perceived effort and stuff.
Yeah.
So like having numbers to kind of hit, like I have an average pace on my Garmin, and like as long as it doesn't go like over 14 minutes, I'm going to be happy with my pacing. But I've also like I'm still undecided. I have looked into it quite a bit, like just fiddling around with different like time goals and stuff.
Yeah. So I plugged in. This is a super cool website. It shows the elevation profile, and it's got a map down here, and it's got a list of all the aid stations. But you can plug in like your goal time or whatever. So I typed in like 24
Mhm.
hours first, and then I typed in 28 hours. I think it's still on 28 hours, just because I wanted to see what would happen if, as far as headlamps go, because I'm not going to carry a headlamp the whole time. I'm planning on putting it in a
Yeah, me
drop
neither.
bag. And the two drop bags, there's one drop bag at Bandy Creek, which is right here, 25 miles, and the next drop bag
Mhm.
is Duncan Hollow. So if
Yeah.
for some reason, like I think at 24-hour pace, you'll hit Duncan Hollow just before sundown. But I think I'm still gonna put a headlamp at Bandy Creek,
I
just
was
to be
feeling the
safe.
same way because I was also doing some of the mental math, and I also realized that because I was thinking I was because the less time I have to carry it, the better. But um,
Hmm.
just I don't want to cut it too close. If I get slowed down for some reason, I don't want to have to be going to Duncan Hollow in the dark.
Right.
Because I
Yeah.
think I'm very fortunate that I have a crew of several people joining me on this race. So um, I think right now, like the only like major drop bag for me is going to be Duncan Hollow because that's the only drop bag that doesn't also double as a crew access point. Um, I think
Uh-huh.
Duncan Hollow
Yeah.
is where I'm expecting. I think that's where I'm going to put a lot of my cool gear in
Mm-hmm.
for like cool weather. So like that'll be when I pull out. Like I still haven't decided if I'm going to just go with a long sleeve or if I'm just going to put a fleece over my like my tech shirt or whatever. If the forecast right now says it's going to dip into the 30s, I think I'm leaning more towards the fleece end of the deal. Because that's a little
Yeah.
chilly, especially if you. The other thing is like thinking about is like I'm sure even in the cool temperatures, if I'm moving, I'll be warm. But if I have to like walk for a long time, or like if I stop at an aid station for a long time, I'll get really cold really fast. That happened to me with
Right.
Kettle last year, and it was like
Yeah.
in the 60s at night.
Yeah. Like this being down in the low 30s, um, we're not gonna. I mean, we're not gonna be able to stop unless we're like sitting by a fire, or else
Oh yeah,
we're gonna chill up real fast.
yeah,
So
I completely agree. That's the thing I'm interested in is the water crossings if it's that cold.
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
I feel like I know I'm planning at least on having like several I have at least one planned shoe change and then I have like I think I'm packed like 6 pairs of socks. I don't expect to use all of them, but like especially at night, I think when I get it,
Mm-hmm.
Blue Heron is like my biggest aid station because that's like that one it's 37 miles between Bandy Creek and Blue Heron, so it's 37 miles without a crew,
Yeah.
which I'm fine with running, but that's going to be the first time I see them in a long time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I'm like planning on like having, and I'm expecting to hit that like in the middle of the night. So I'm definitely going to like try. I already know I want to change shoes there, and
So you're gonna
I'm
have a
also probably
crew
gonna,
at Duncan Hollow,
not at Duncan. Sorry, Bandy Creek.
Bandy Creek. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll
Bandy
be
Creek
good.
is crew, and then yeah, you don't get to see him again until the first time you get to Blue Heron.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. And
so
Blue
it's a
Heron will
long
hit
stretch.
twice. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm happy about that.
Yeah. That'll be a good drop bag because you see it one time and then you get, an hour, hour and a half to think about what you want to grab that you forgot.
hmm
And you'll see it
That's why
again.
I'm also happy. Pickett Park is the first aid station is crew accessible, so it's only
Oh,
8 miles
nice.
into the race, so you can really
Hmm.
spend like the first 8 miles figuring out if everything's good.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
and then you don't have to go like 20 miles and be like, well, I realize now that I shouldn't have packed this.
Yeah.
But
So you said, so what are you planning? Are you going to have your crew just take your shoes everywhere, or are you going to have shoes in different drop bags?
I think I'm putting a lot of trust into my crew to just because, especially organization wise, between like the volunteers and everything that's going on, like I'm probably gonna have drop bags at the other stations. I'm not sure yet, um, but I'm definitely Duncan Hall is the only one that's gonna definitely I'm gonna double triple check everything's good with because I won't get a
Hmm.
crew there, but. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try, especially like I'm hoping with like Blue Heron. I've told them this is like, all right, I have 37 miles to run before I see you, so that gives you like probably at least like 7 to 8 hours to get there. I hope you guys don't miss it. And if you
Yeah.
do miss it, I'll get to see you the second time, so that's even like
Yeah.
another hour later or so.
That's perfect.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna rely on them quite a bit
Hmm.
to but the people I'm crewing with, like they've crewed me in at least one race before. So unless they have like car troubles, like I trust them to
Yeah.
have a good handle on things. I'm very lucky to have them.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Um, and then what kind of like general stuff are you putting in drop bags? I think that's question I get a lot is like, what do you put in drop bags? Like, how do you plan that? So what's your thought process? Because we get 4 drop bags. Are you going to use all 4 opportunities to have a drop bag?
I'm still not 100% sure. Like I said, Duncan
Hmm.
Hollow is the one that's a definite one, but the rest of them I
Hmm.
could have crew at, and as long as they're there, they can have
Yeah.
like everything. Um, things I know are going into the Duncan Hollow drop bag is goo, like more nutrition and stuff. Um, enough to get me to what I think Blue Heron will be, and then plus maybe like another 2 hours on top of that, just in case if
Hmm.
things go sideways. Um, I'm also going to make sure I have my cool weather gear in there. I'll probably already have I will already have my headlamp by that point. Um, and then yeah, I'm gonna put like a bunch of stuff in there, like gloves, like a knit hat and stuff, just in case I need like even more layers. I'm thinking just because it's over there. I'm planning on for my mask using like a buff, just because it also can like keep my neck warm and stuff.
Yeah. Hmm.
I have like four of them packed, so I
Yeah.
might just change them out because I know if I wear a buff for a long time, the moisture gets in there. So like
Yeah.
putting on a fresh one is just like one of those quality of life, like putting on a new set of socks
For sure.
feels better. Um,
It's a lot faster than
so
changing your socks.
oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. If it took me like 10 minutes to take the buff off, it wouldn't be worth it. But because it's just like pop one off the head and then
Yeah.
put the other one on.
Yeah.
Get to put my own little personal flair with the different
Yeah.
styles that I have.
Hmm.
You know, these aren't races; these are fashion contests. Come on,
Well,
people.
that's
Uh,
for sure. Yeah.
everyone with their like neon colored clothing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
straight out of Vogue. But that's
Right.
probably the main stuff. I like a lot of the stuff that I feel like I would need in like a pinch. I'm gonna already usually have with me. Um, like I'm always keeping squirrels on me, squirrels nut butter, just in case if I have to make an emergency bathroom break or something, or I have like chafing issues or something. Like it's right there. I don't have to wait till I get to an aid station,
Nice.
because if it gets like chafing, if I get chafage, like then it could just like last the rest of the race, and
Hmm.
that's absolutely not fun.
Hmm.
Um, and then some like maybe some like I'll put like some band-aids and stuff in there as well, which I also plan on having a few on me. But if for some reason it's needed, it's there.
Right.
Um, and then I don't know. My gear that I carry with me is kind of minimalist. I know some people I was looking in the Facebook group were talking about like all this like gauze and like all these like different things they're carrying, and like I'm gonna have my nutrition, my hydration, all the essential gear, which is just I think besides that is just like a headlamp and the emergency blanket, um, and then like the squirrels, and like that's about all that I carry. And I'm probably gonna I might throw an extra pair of socks in there if like, especially for the night section, if it's like going on a long time and my feet are getting really really cold. Um, just because I've had like wet feet training. I've like purposely gone to place trails that have like creeks and stuff just so I can get like used to it. Just like doing like different type of weather training and stuff. Um, and so if my feet are getting really uncomfortable, I'll have those in a pinch.
Nice. Yeah. I'm definitely having extra socks in every drop bag. But I'm kind of like the same way as you. Like I know a lot of people put a whole bunch of like first aid stuff in drop bags, and I've never done that, and I've never had a problem. Because if I'm at a drop bag, I'm also at an aid station, and usually the aid stations always have that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in my drop bags. It's like extra pair of shoes, maybe. I'm putting my if I I'm putting a pair of shoes at Blue Heron, which is mile 62 and 68,
Yeah,
so that I can
like
see
that.
that twice, and that'll be probably middle of the night, towards the end of the night, and um, I don't know. It seems like that might be the better spot to put a pair of shoes. Um, but yeah, I'm putting socks in every one, extra nutrition. I'm putting an extra buff in every drop bag too, because that's like takes up no
Mhm.
space, and that'll just be a
Yeah,
nice. Every time I see a drop bag, I just put a new buff on,
hmm
I think that'll really help with you know like the fashion, like you were talking about.
yeah, exactly. That
um,
way, when you get those post race photos, you can pick like, oh, do I want the one with the red buff or the black one, stuff like that.
yeah, it also helps with just like your general like happiness, because they start. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
they're not the cleanest thing after you've been running in them for 20 miles.
Yeah,
Actually, it probably
exactly.
won't be as bad now, because if it's gonna be this cold, it'll be kind of nice to have like a
Yeah.
little scarf around your neck.
I know.
You
I've
know,
been doing a lot of long run. I've been doing basically all my long runs with the buff just to get used to it in
mhm.
case it was like, 70 degrees out. I wouldn't be like dying in it.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah.
so I'm used to it. And like when I mean, it wasn't cold this morning. I won't say that, but like it was a little bit on the chillier side compared to most of my training for when I did my run this morning. And yeah, like at one point I just like hiked it. I didn't like, I wasn't even around anyone and I hiked it up around my ears because my ears are like the very first thing that ever get cold. And
Mm,
it was just like, I was like happy to have it.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it'll get its utility definitely.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point, to have like an extra buff or two maybe on you, so you can, like, even if you had one around your neck and then one on your head too, like that might help too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird with it being so cold. Like that's one thing that because I've been in, I've done some of these races in really cold weather. Um,
Hmm.
but like Leadville, when I paced that was freezing cold in the middle of the night. Um, but I wasn't doing 100, like I was doing 50, and it's gonna be different. Like I think this is gonna be tough. I think the
Yeah.
cold night is it's gonna change things, and I don't know if it's gonna make people go faster or make people go slower and drop out. Like I think there'll be a lot of drops at night because people are just gonna get too cold.
Yeah.
Like they won't bring the right clothes.
The,
But yeah, I'm also
the
putting
thing,
like pants in every drop bag too, just in case I'm really
yeah,
suffering.
I don't know if I'm probably going to have them at Blue Heron, although the thing that's interesting for me with the cold is I'm usually really good with running in the cold, because like especially with my background, when I was at Purdue, I was in the marching band all the whole time I was there. So like I did not run at all during marching band season, because I just couldn't, like my legs couldn't handle our marching style plus like a regular running schedule. So my like running season would start in December almost every year for the past 4 years, and
Hmm.
I would like run in like snowstorms. I once was on the Wabash Heritage Trail and the ice, like the trail was flooded and the ice was thinner than I thought. And like
Oh
2 miles
yeah.
into a 20-mile run, I wound up being waist deep. It was just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna be wet for the next like 20, like the next like couple hours or so.
Yep.
And everything was fine with that race, but like the thing is like I'm now transitioning from a hot environment to a cold one because like
Right.
when I did
Hmm.
OPSF that was kind of chilly except for like midday, like we started at
Yeah.
night and it was in the 30s at the start of OPSF, but like I was used to the cold running, but now it's just
Right.
except for like the past couple weeks, most of my runs have been in the 60s, the 70s, and so my system's not as used to it as I've had great heat training over the past like
Hmm.
summer and stuff, but you know, it's like it's been a long time since I've had some really good cold running. So, um, I used at some points in the year, it could be like 52 degrees out, and I'll be out in shorts and a t-shirt. But like now 52 degrees out feels really cold.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so we're gonna see what happens. I think
Yeah.
right now, I think I can get away with shorts for the whole race, and just I definitely am going to need like layering on the top half, especially if I'm always moving. I have long socks and stuff, so like hopefully that'll if it gets that bad, I'm gonna definitely have a pair of like my running pants at Blue Heron though, um,
Hmm.
just to if it's getting that cold. Um, we can at least have that we can have that. I think Blue Heron is probably going to be like, at least with me, especially because it's a crude aid station, is going to be like the biggest part of the race for me. Like
Hmm.
if the night's bad, I'm going to like if the night's bad in the beginning, like the whole thing in my head is going to be just get to Blue Heron, just get to Blue Heron
Yeah.
because I'll be able to like finally see my crew again after 8 hours. I'm picking up a pacer who's just doing like the Blue Heron loop with me. Um, and so even that like 6 miles I'm expecting, I'll probably be around people, um, especially with like how staggered everyone is going to be. But, having someone with me for that 6 miles, like I think if things are going wrong, I think Blue Heron's going to be the thing that breathes life into me. And then, after Blue Heron, there's only like 30 miles left of the race. And so at that point, it's just kind of, you're getting into that like end game stuff where, um, it's getting harder and harder mentally, but also you can like keep in the back of your mind being like, come on, there's only 30 miles left.
Yeah.
or like only 20 miles left.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, One of the things I'm very thankful for is when I was in high school. Um, when I was in high school, I did track and cross country and stuff. No ultras back in those days, of course, but we like my junior year of high school, we got one of the kids on the track team. His father was like a really good coach, but he was for a different school district. But he didn't coach track; he only coached cross country. So he came and volunteer coached us. And one of the things he taught us that like was complete news to me, because I was running the mile and stuff, was that like to always push the like third quarter of the race, because the last quarter of like the last lap of a mile is just the last lap. You can book it because you're like, I have one lap left. And so all of a sudden, in track terms, that like dropped my mile time by like 30 seconds in the span of like a month, because I was now pushing it on the third lap right after the half. But it translates into ultra for me, because like after I get past the halfway point, and especially after this like like 3/4 point, I'm just like, come on, you've done 75% of the work already. What's the last 25%?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with ultras, usually that requires, that's also the part that requires the most effort. But like, it's a good thing for me to put in my head mentally, and it helps like, if I'm ever like being like, wow, this is really bad, I'm just like, well, yeah, but you've already done almost all the work. What's the point of like, stopping or slowing down or whatever now?
Right. Yeah, for sure. For me, the mentally the hardest part for me is like if we're breaking 100 up into quarters is like probably the second quarter, like that like 25 to 50 miles. It just feels like because that's when it starts. That's when things start to get hard. It starts to hurt. You've already done a marathon, so
Yeah.
you've got some pain going on, and you're not even halfway. Like that's the part mentally that's
Yeah.
like the hardest for me. But then once I hit halfway, it's kind of like I can like take a breather there. And I'm like, okay, like I've done pretty well. I'm halfway. The rest is downhill
I
from
just got to
here.
do all of that one more time.
hmm But
I mean,
I'll think about it the way you think about it, and I'll think once I get halfway, I'll think, okay, I'm gonna push this next quarter. We'll see what
I don't know
happens
if
with
I'm.
that.
I'm not saying that's good for track. I won't say that's good for ultra running, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
the last 25% mentality is the big
hmm
lesson that I've taken into races. Is that like the last 25% is comparatively nothing compared to the first 75,
hmm
uh, and that's what really
Yeah.
pushes me through the end. I think I think one of the best moments of the race is going to be like when sunrise comes on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Because if the night is as rough as we're all thinking it's going to be, that sunrise coming up is just going to bring in like
Oh
new
my
life.
gosh.
Uh,
Yeah.
the other thing, and I've told you about this, but I think I'm really excited for is um, if I'm really hoping that we have a clear sky at night, because
Yeah.
we're going to be in the back country of Tennessee and Kentucky, and I used to rock climb in like the back country of Kentucky, and their like night sky is like absolutely incredible. And
Yeah.
the night of our race is during a new moon, so that means like it's gonna like there's nothing. If you can get a clear shot at the sky, like you should be able to see like everything, because there's going to be
Mm.
like no light pollution anywhere. And I've told like several like one of the things I've always wanted to do is like be somewhere where you can see the Milky Way at night. um
hmm
and like unfortunately it hasn't, the stars I guess haven't aligned for me yet in that category, but this would be if conditions are right, this would be a pretty good case for it.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be like a silver lining, is if the sky is clear at night, if I'm like struggling, I can like look up and just be like, see like have that look of awe at like what I get to see, and you
hmm
know find whatever that little thing is to like make the whatever is happening below my waist and my legs and my feet and
Yeah.
my ankles and whatever, like be like, oh yeah, that hurts a lot, but like look at that, won't you, can't you see that?
Yeah.
um
No, I totally agree. That's gonna be awesome. Like you said, if since that's a new moon, if the sky is clear, that's gonna be incredible. I hope that we have. I don't even know this. I don't even know like what the like tree cover percentage is like. I know it's not like they don't like it's not like a stat that
yeah.
you can go look up, but like when I did grindstone, there was probably one time where I could see the sky, and that was at
Yeah.
like the turnaround point because we came out on a road, and like it was like awesome, there's the sky, and then you go back into the woods for the next 50 miles. But
some
then like something like out in Colorado or something. It's a lot different,
Yeah,
California.
it's all exposed, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, quite a bit. I mean, Run Rabbit
Yeah.
Run was the one I did in Colorado, and there was a lot of exposed there, and it was really cool. But this one, I kind of have a feeling that there's going to be some here and there, but it's going to be similar probably to
I
Midwest
know
and
someone in the Facebook group asked about that because they're coming in from Colorado, and because they said
oh,
a lot of it's going to be covered.
okay,
Someone I was curious too because every race I've done, I've packed sunglasses and then like have almost never needed them.
right,
And so it's just like, extra like an extra thing that like was just sitting in the back of my pack, like poking my back. Um,
mm-hmm,
but I know they also said like one of the reasons why they're not using like the GPS system anymore is because like the tree coverage was making it difficult for them to pick up signals and stuff. Um, so that could be
yeah,
it's nice for me, I guess, because like one of the long run trails I do out here in Pennsylvania is like super exposed, um, like for most of the trail, and so like especially in the hotter months, like that was like I was just like at least when I do like my races, I'll be like under tree cover, so if it's hot out, like I'm not just getting pelted by the sun. Um, but I don't know. I'm
yeah,
excited for everything in terms of just like how this race is going to look because from everything I've seen from like the Facebook post to the race website, it's just going to be so damn pretty out.
mm-hmm, yeah. Especially with all the leaves changing and everything. So how's your taper been? You doing okay with it, or do you have the taper crazies?
I'm getting a little antsy. It's I've been sticking to the taper and stuff. You know, making sure that I'm not going too fast on runs because as your like as my legs recover, like especially after a day off, it's just like I'll be going out and then like the first mile will come in, it'll be like you ran a 750, and I was like, okay, no, that's not what we're aiming for. Like I'm not supposed to be like running faster or anything. So trying to keep the legs fresh, but like not like also overdoing them and like being sore at the end of the day. Um, doing some
Yep.
last minute long like my last long runs. I'm trying to do stuff kind of balance the line. At least the trails I've been running out in Pennsylvania, it's like you have either two options, like death by hills or like completely flat, like former railroad trails.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I don't want to be doing death by hills because I don't want to be like, beating my legs up a lot, which I did at the beginning of my taper, like did that, like that one really hilly course. But like, I also don't want to be just doing flat because that monotony also gets to me after a while. Because it's almost like running on the road. You have like the same movement and stuff. You're not using your
Yeah.
hips or anything, and so it's like trying to find like that fine line where it's like there's enough difference that it's getting into a long run, but it's not like too monotonous. So, but overall, the taper's been going pretty good. I only have one more run tomorrow, just doing a really easy 3 miles and then taking Thursday off because I mean most of it's going to be travel anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's go time on Friday. So
Nice. We're almost there. I'm kind of similar with you. I've just been doing like really short runs, like just a couple miles, 3, 4 miles here and there. The weekend was like nothing. Just did a couple miles on Saturday, a couple miles on Sunday. But yeah, we got tomorrow and then Thursday, travel day. Are you doing the packet pickup on Thursday or are you getting yours on
I'm aiming
Friday?
for it.
Okay, yeah.
I'm aiming for it. I'm gonna me and Brendan, the buddy I'm staying with, we're gonna leave Thursday morning, and then yeah, drive down, get to packet pickup. I'm thinking like early to mid afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have a hotel. Excuse me, about 40 minutes from the race start, so not too bad, and just kind of relax. It's always the one thing I hate about the night before every race is just you cannot go to sleep. At least for me. Um,
Yeah.
I'll just be like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed now. It bit me in the butt at like Belmonte and back in March because I had to wake up at like 4:30 for the race, and I remember looking at my phone at like 12:30 at night and being like, I have to be up in 4 hours. Why can't I go to sleep? That's the
Yeah.
one. I mean, the one nice thing about having the later start is that like I could go to bed at midnight, which is like more of a usual time for me,
Mm-hmm.
when I'll actually naturally be tired and
Yeah.
actually sleep in a little bit. But you're just gonna get like once I get into the hotel room, like, I lay everything out and just be like, so I can just wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, shower, and then just put on my gear and then go out the door. It's like as soon as everything's like laid out on the hotel, like on the table, I'm just like, that's just like, when it hits me, it's like, okay, this is real. And then
Yeah.
that feeling sticks with you until like whenever you can manage to fall asleep.
Yep. Yep. Do you have any like pre-race morning rituals or anything like that?
I have a few. I the past couple races, I always start the morning with 2 slices of multigrain toast and almond butter.
Nice.
Hasn't done me wrong.
Nice.
Um, I don't have I have like a list of songs that I like to listen to on the car ride over there, like just to
Oh,
pump
cool.
me up. Um, I don't
Nice.
because I don't like to usually listen to music or anything during a race. I'll do it
Hmm.
occasionally on a run, especially if they're like these like weekday runs that I've done the same trail, same road like 500 times and need a little something to break it up. So like I usually get my music fixed like beforehand and listen to things that just like really drive me. Um,
Hmm.
and then I always the big one for me is whenever at the start of every race, as I'm leaving the start line, I always recite to myself aloud Invictus, the poem, just because it has a really deep personal meaning to me, and like how I like to view myself going through the race, and like how like it always just gears me up. I remember like I actually triggered a runner's high going out of an aid station at OPSF because I said it because I was struggling and I just started saying it to myself as I was leaving the aid station, and like
Wow.
immediately I just felt like all this energy come through. Like it has that effect on
Yeah.
me. So Invictus is definitely going to be in my mind. And there's other quotes like Teddy Roosevelt's "Man in the Arena" speech.
Oh, yeah.
Always gets
Hmm.
me going because like
Hmm.
whenever someone just like why like calls me crazy for running 100 miles or something like that, I'll just be like thinking, well, at least I'm actually going out the door and like doing something hard and like doing something that like gives me personal fulfillment. So
Yeah.
those kind of things go through my mind. But yeah, just kind of like eating a good breakfast, getting that. I always like to be the cleanest I possibly can be before a race. So
Yeah.
like, shower, brush my teeth, like, like be like I'm, getting ready for a job interview, like, that level of cleanliness,
Hmm.
and then just
Hmm.
be like, I'm going to be just an absolute mess by the end of it.
Yeah.
The only
Let's
thing I
get
do
all
for like
dirty and
personal
smelly.
maintenance
Yep.
is like I brush my teeth in the middle of the race sometimes if like, my teeth are getting that like kind of like dirty feeling.
Yep.
Um,
From all the sugar
but
and
like besides
everything.
that,
Yeah.
um, yeah, just keeping the big thing is just going to be like the music, and then getting in that mindset. Um, and it's really only good for like the first like maybe like 2 minutes of the race, and then you just kind of get into your rhythm and stuff.
Hmm.
If you're around people, you start chatting with them, like because I mean, if I tried doing like the start, if I was like gearing up for like 100 meters, that'd be perfect. It'd be like pump up, but if I do that for 100, I'm not sprinting the whole way. So it's just like,
Yeah.
it helps me get into the right mindset. But then after that, you kind of just like, after like the first like, couple miles, you just start to like, just slip into that just autopilot,
Yeah.
um, and keep going that until you start to like, either hit your first trough or, get into an aid station or something like that.
Hmm. And the start of this race is going to be so weird compared to other races because normally it's this like massive like ball of energy of like a couple hundred people, just all like everyone's nervous, everyone's freaking out, and it's just
Yeah.
like it's like you could touch someone and electrocute them, like because we're all like just like buzzing. And this one, it's going to be so different. Like we're going to walk up like one or two or three people to the start line, and then you're just going to go and you're going to see someone and someone might pass you. And it's just going to be like, I'm not disappointed about it at all. I'm just like,
It's
this
just
is
going to
going
be
to be,
different.
it's going to be weird. And I'm wondering how that's going to affect the race because, a lot of times you've got that runner's high for the first, 5 to 10, maybe 15 or 20 miles, even if you're with a bunch of people that you're running with. But that might not be there at this race. And I wonder just how that's going to affect everybody over the 100 miles. It's
I
just,
think I'm hoping it works out in my favor because, like I said earlier, like I will definitely go out too fast at the start because of that
yeah,
adrenaline. So
yeah,
I think the start will be more mellow. It'll also be interesting, just like, at night, especially people who are being competitive, like, chasing down headlamps and stuff like that. Like, you know, I mean, I guess in theory, if you're ever passing anyone, you are going faster than they are because if you had to start behind them. Um, but that's kind of interesting. Someone could win the race and have started at like 11 o'clock, even after the
yeah,
people who started at
hmm
10 could have finished and stuff.
yeah,
Um, which I mean, they purposely like are having all the competitive people go first to get more of that simulated race feel. But some people could just have a really good day.
right,
Um,
yeah,
and I mean, I know for me, like goal wise, like I'm shooting. I was initially going into this race being like, I just want to finish, have a good time, stuff like that. And then, of course, they had to post like the pictures of the belt buckles, and then they had the sub 24 when it was just like, that one looks actually quite a lot nicer than the regular belt buckle.
I
So
know,
that put
I
a
know,
little bird in my ear. So
hmm
at least for me at the start, that's going to be my mindset is trying to
nice,
get that sub 24. Um, I
nice,
mean, I did it one time, right?
yeah.
Um,
So
except that was a
do you
flatter
have your
course.
paces all planned out? Like what time you need to be at this aid station or that, or you said you're just going to be watching your watch
Yeah,
pace?
I I so like last year I had like this really long spreadsheet of like, all the like it was like, different paces and like what time I would get into all the aid stations and stuff like that. Um and just the one reason why I didn't make it this year is at least right now is because I don't know when my start time is going to be and all those were time of day based. um,
Mm,
which I mean I could do off of stopwatch time as well. But I mainly made that sheet for my crew because they were going off of more time of day while I was going off of stopwatch time. Um, but I think as long as I did the math, for me, it's I think about 14 flat is where like you would get to really close to 24 hours. The other issue is that like I have the course loaded onto my watch, but like the course in the GPX file that they gave us is like 98 miles, and then like
yeah,
the handbook says 102.3. So like that discrepancy, like I could set like a goal time on my watch onto the course, but like the issue is because the watch course is shorter than what the course is reported to be, like it would tell me that I'm okay running at like a 14 like 30, but then like if you do
yeah,
it with
hmm
102 miles, that extra 2 miles, like that extra 30 seconds doesn't work out. um
yeah.
so
And I
I
think
don't
it's
think.
because I think the area is probably like surveyed. There's probably some errors in like the topo map because every
Mm,
website you plug the uh, GPX file into, it gives you like 8,800 feet of gain. But then you see people's watches, like they'll send you their fit file or something, and it shows like 15,000. And so, like a watch
yeah.
measuring with a barometer will give you a lot more gain and
Hmm.
several more miles. But if you plug the same exact GPS track into a topo map, it'll give you half the gain and a few less miles. That actually like really messed some people up at Run Rabbit Run the year I did it because
Mm,
they added an extra section of the trail. They wanted to get off some roads and onto more single track. And they were like, the race was always 102 miles. And then the year I did it, they were like, this year it's 103. We added an extra mile. But almost everybody that I talked to at the end said that their watch told them it was 108 miles. And when you're
hmm
talking about a difference of like possibly 4 to 5 miles, maybe 6 miles, for a lot of people, that's an hour and a half. That could be two
yeah,
hours if
exactly.
you're at the end of the race, especially if you're struggling. And so there was a lot of people that got cut off like halfway and at the almost at the some of the last aid stations. There was a bunch of people getting like that I saw got cut off afterwards when I looked back at results because they were planning their pacing strategy based off of 102 or 103, but then the course ended up being 108 miles and it just totally threw them
Hmm.
off by a couple hours.
Yeah,
But
I know that a similar thing happened to me with Belmonte this year. Not like cutoffs or anything, but like I missed my goal time because like the course was advertised as a 50 miler, but then my watch said it was like 53 miles, and like I was was trying to do sub 11 hours, I believe was what or something like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
missed it, but like I looked at my watch when I hit the 50-mile mark, and it was what I was like it was like below
Right.
that time. But like I remember being there was just like, oh my God, I'm not like, because it was an out and back course. I was just like, we're not even anywhere close to this finish yet. Like I still have to go like up this really big hill and then like
Yeah.
along the Blue Ridge Parkway for like 2 miles before I get back to the finish.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. So that's what's hard about ultras if you're chasing a certain time or you're chasing cutoffs. They're not always accurate
yeah,
distances. So
yeah, that's why I'm going with the 102.3 because that's like the
yeah,
longest distance. So like in my
nice.
head, that should in theory be the longest that we have to go. So I'm basing my pace off of that. Um, I also, it's a interesting like mental thing. Because at least what I did during kettle last year was like I had it in for doing sub 24 at least I had it in my mind that I didn't have a watch that did average pace at the time. So I in my head I was doing like I was banking time, like because during kettle it was like you had to run a 14:19 or something to get 24 hours. And so in my head I was like every time I run a mile that's less than that time, that's time I can add on to a mile at the end that would still get me that sub 24. And so like I think that's a mind. I won't be like doing like a mental math like the entire race, but like
Mm-hmm.
it'll help me if like late in the race I start seeing like miles in the 16s or like the 17s, 18s if it gets like or the 20s if it gets really bad. I'll just be like, well, I was running a bunch of 12s earlier, so like this is
Mm-hmm.
balancing that out. I remember a distinct memory I had was like just around mile 50. I during kettle I like passed a girl who was like walking, and I was just like I was just like asking her like, hey, how are you doing, like how you doing, and she was just like she was moping a little bit because she said like she was going for sub 24 at the time, but like had realized she couldn't do it, and I was still going for sub 24 at the time, and I was just kind of flipping out because I was just like, wait a minute, you were ahead of me and you
Yeah.
said you can't do it anymore. What does that mean for me? But
Yeah.
I didn't stick around with her too long. But I was just like, I would try to encourage her. I was like, come on, we can still do this. Cause I was with a guy named James, and we were together for like, I think like 7 miles or so. And we were talking about our like pace strategy, cause we were both also going for sub 24. And we actually wound up finishing like within 2 minutes of each other, even though we like separated and then came back together like 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah. Yeah. That's dangerous to believe people, other runners that are out on the course,
Yeah.
even maybe volunteers. Like I learned my lesson at Mohican, never to believe somebody because we were similar situation to you. We were going like in the middle of the night, like things were getting bad, like with the rain, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a massive storm and it was muddy. It rained for 4, 5, 6 hours through the night, and we were getting close to the end of the night, and I was with my buddy Matt, and we were hiking up this hill, and we caught up to this girl, and she was wearing like, it was a very odd situation. We thought we were hallucinating at first because she was wearing like wings, like a costume, and like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
skirt and a dress and like these big wings, and we had no idea what was going on. But we were talking to her, and she was just like super negative, and she was like, "We're
Oh,
done.
yeah.
We missed it. We're done." And we're like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "We already missed the cutoff at the next aid station. We missed it." And me and Matt are like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like we were looking at our watches and we were trying to figure stuff out, and she's like, "Yeah, the cutoff was like 5 minutes ago, and we still have like 2 miles to go." And we got super depressed, and then like
Ooh.
we couldn't shake her either because like every time we started to run, she would run, and then
Oh no.
we eventually shook her because we were like, okay, we're gonna take a number 2 stop, and you please go ahead. And then she was like, oh, me too. And then we were like, nope, just kidding, we don't have to. And like then we just like ran off.
Jeez.
But we
Oh,
lost
no.
her. We lost her, and then eventually like we got to the aid station, and we were like, it's not closed. Like, we're not cut off. Like, what the heck? And we realized that we still had like
Dang.
2 hours or something. And she was just like so messed up. And like, I was even like looking at my pace chart, and I'm like, this is not possible.
This
She's
isn't
totally
adding up.
wrong. But it was like that just like negative voice, like it just created doubt. And at like mile 75 of a 100-miler, like you have no idea how your brain is going to process things.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that was my lesson. I'm like, I am never believing anybody else I see out on the trail. I'm going to run until someone grabs my arm to stop me. Like,
That's kind of that's and I've told my crew that the same thing is just like no matter what happens, the only way that I am like not going to continue this race is either A, I miss a cutoff, or B, like I get pulled for something medical. Like, I have actual like diagnosable hypothermia or
yeah.
something. Um, like if I come in like looking like actual crap, like just like throw like a couple goos in my face and then push me back out. Because like I rem like sometimes, I could just be bonking, that could be all it was is like, maybe I was like falling a little bit behind on nutrition, like even following my nutrition plan, but like they're just like the fatigue is caught up with me and I'll just feel like crap. And then I'll like eat something. And then, 5 minutes later, I'm just like tearing down the course.
Yep.
So I remember it's interesting because the peaks come to you at weird times. I remember during Kettle last year, the best peak I had during the race was during the thunderstorm, if you remember that.
Yep. Very
I was in
well.
the prairies during that one, which
Same
was
here.
wild because like
Yeah.
you looked on the horizon and you would just see like this lightning and just I wasn't too worried about it. I'd run in thunderstorms before, but there were some racers around me that were just like, "Do you see that? It's so close." And I'm just like, it's far enough away. If you feel like the air getting static, just throw yourself on the ground. It'll be fine.
When you start hearing the rocks buzz, you need to get moving.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I remember it was during the rainy section. A lot of people were like really kind of like down because they weren't expecting to get wet. But
well, I remember
because
it
of
like wasn't supposed to rain that day. It was like a surprise storm.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of training. Like one of the things I did was I trained in every condition. Like in a blizzard, I trained in a thunderstorm. The one day in my 5 years at Purdue when we had a day off because it was so cold out because of like the wind chill, I was running outside that day. And so I was just like, oh, this is just some rain. And especially like OPSF, like having my feet soaked for the entire 50 miles. I was just like, these like little puddles are nothing to compare to like the ankle deep mud I had. So like I just like hit a peak like going into, I think it was the Emma Carlin aid station. It was whatever aid station they were offering Fireball at. I think it was Emma Carlin. They had like a band and everything, and like I was just like booking it because like I remember I was passing all these people and I was just like screaming at the sky being like, "You think you can stop me? I've trained 8 months for this thing. I've run through blizzards. You think a little rain is gonna make me quit? You got to be joking if you think you can make me like give up right now." And I practically sprinted into the aid station, and then after leaving the aid station, I calmed down a little bit, but it was just like it was like the biggest peak I had in like, that was like, I think somewhere in the 40s, getting close to 50. And then, like I felt like, $1,000,000, I could just like, sprint the next 60 miles and get to the finish in like, 18 hours. And then, all of a sudden, 30 minutes later, I'm walking again. It's great. It's one of the coolest parts of the race is like, going through those ups and downs, and especially seeing how you react to them. That's like, one of the allures of these races for me is like, not like, yeah, the peaks are going to feel great, but like who am I when the troughs come? Like what happens when I'm down there? Like, am I going to be the person who's like, all right, I need to sit down for 20 minutes, take a nap? Or am I going to be the person who's just going to be like, I'm going to push through this? And I mean, depending on the situation, either could be warranted. But just push through and just keep going.
Yeah.
And so like one of my biggest points of personal pride is like being able to, keep going in those like adverse situations. Having that resiliency and that tenacity is like, one of the highlights of ultra running is like, you get to see, I think in some cases, like the best parts of yourself. And, sometimes even the worst parts, but like, it's all live right there. In that life in a day scenario.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I think that's very well said. Someone at work asked me today, because I'm taking a couple of days off for the race, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Running 100 miles." And they're just like, "Why?" And then like they were like, "No, seriously, why? Like, what makes anyone want to do that?" And like they wanted a serious answer, so I was like, "Okay, like I'll think about it for a second." And I was just like, there's not that many opportunities in life nowadays, or I don't know. I mean, like there's not that many opportunities in life ever to where you can put yourself in a situation like you find yourself in a 100 miler where you are just
Mm-hmm.
so broken down and like you have nothing and like, you have no energy, you have no strength, like you have no motivation. There's no reason why you should take another step. But
Mm-hmm.
figuring like finding those moments and then watching yourself make that choice to stand up from the aid station and walk out and just start walking into the darkness. Like
Mm-hmm.
those moments, like we get like we had our groceries delivered for us today.
Mm-hmm.
Like I order things off Amazon. Like I don't have to go anywhere. Like I don't have like if I wanted to, I could sit in my house all day and do nothing. And it's just like we don't have to put ourselves through those situations very often. And so ultra running for me, like that is me willingly putting myself into that situation and then observing how I react to it. And that is just like fascinating to me. And
Yeah.
I just love it. I love it. I
I
mean,
I
I hate it in the
completely
moment, but
yeah. I completely agree though. I mean,
yeah,
it's almost exactly the same for me. You know, like I think a lot about the why and stuff. I I take inspiration from a lot of people like, Trail Runner Nation, they talk about the why all the time. So that got me thinking about it. And just I want to do something that's hard. A lot of things are easy. Like
yeah,
I've been very lucky to have like a lot of easy things in my life. I did pretty well in school growing up. I mean, yeah, a cross country race, running like, I mean, I wasn't ever the fastest, like a 19-minute 5K. Yeah, it was hard, but it was only for like, I could do something hard for 30 minutes. This is like one of those things that like, it doesn't matter if, you're like, Jim Walmsley, Courtney DeWalter, like, the fastest people out here, or if you're,
yeah,
chasing cutoffs, it's hard to run 100 miles. Dead stop. Like there's no one that it comes easy to. So it's like
right.
something I can guarantee is going to be a challenge. No matter if I'm trying to go for first place or if I'm going really slow, it's going to hurt the same amount. But like, there's very few things that can do that. So to toe the line and stuff and have the courage to do that, it's just like a large point of personal pride. And then you also have like all these other people around you and like this community that also I've come to like fall in love with, that are also you can really connect with them. Like I've made some really good connections during Kettle because when you have like 2 or 3 hours with someone and you're just like hitting the trail and stuff, a lot of that like especially when you first meet people that sometimes it takes a little while to open up to them, but you're like, if it's at like mile 60, you're skipping all the pleasantries. You're not going to be like, oh, is it like, what's your name, like, would it be all right if I asked, like, you just like, if there's someone next to you on the trail, you just start talking to them. I mean, I that was one of the coolest parts about Kettle for me, and like other races I've done, um, is just all these like different experiences that you get that I feel like are absent in other situations. Unless like I feel like you can only get from when you're really pushing yourself.
No, for sure. I mean, I feel exactly the same way. I mean, there's not that much out there that like really challenges us and puts us in a position like physically. I mean, like a lot of people go through a lot of really hard things,
Oh, absolutely.
but like physically, to put yourself in a situation where you're just like you're on the limit, like
Yeah.
there's a much higher chance of failure than success.
Hmm.
I think I
And
stole that from
it's
Laz
elective.
accidentally.
Yeah.
That's
I
one of his
think
quotes. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think it's like, and you were kind of, I have huge respect for people who, can manage themselves through personal strife and personal struggle, as so many of us are doing these days, in these, you know, interesting and unfortunate times. But, this is something that, like you said, like you don't have to do this. It's completely up to you. You're the one who's, decided to step outside your door and take this on. And I think that adds, just at least on a person, like in terms of personal achievement, adds like a little bit of an extra fulfillment out of that. um is that you're the one who decided to do this.
Yeah. It's not for prize money. It's not for an award. It's literally just to do it. That's it.
Hmm. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I think about the money that I've sunk into this race between like the fees, the
Yeah.
travel, the hotels, the
Uh-huh.
gear,
Yeah.
the nutrition and stuff, man, I could have saved myself a boatload of money.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm going to throw myself in the woods for up to like 33 hours this weekend while like, my friends are going to be enjoying their day off, going, well, I would say going out to bars and stuff, but no one's doing that anymore. But like,
Yeah.
enjoying their
True.
day off,
Yeah.
watching Netflix, playing video games, stuff like that. And I'm just
Mhm.
going to, run until my legs fall off. Um, but, I guess that's my choice.
Yeah. Yep. Well, dude, thank you so much for joining me. I cannot wait to see you again. It's gonna be fun.
know, it's
Hopefully
been
we
too
can share a
long.
few miles. I know we'll connect again in the next couple days.
Mhm.
Make sure we coordinate something, meet up or something. So
Yeah, I don't doubt that we'll see each other. I know we'll see each other on the course. If it's not at the start, we'll find each other at some point.
we
It's,
probably will.
I mean, 100 miles is a long time, and I mean, people will spread out. But if we're both pushing towards the same goal, I think we'll be in the neighborhood. So,
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing you too. It's been too long
for
since I've
sure.
gotten to run with you, so I'm very excited for it.
For
Thank you
sure.
so much for having me on. It's great to
Yeah.
talk about the race, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stories to be told afterwards. So. Um,
Yep.
we're gonna have a bunch of things uh,
Yeah.
to reminisce about.
Yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
get my
Yeah.
fix,
Yeah.
especially now that I'm not at Purdue anymore. Like it's not even a matter of just like safety. It's just like the access.
Hmm.
Used to be that we were like 10 minutes away from each other, and
Right.
now I'm living a 10-hour drive. So
Yeah.
it's I'm real excited. I can't wait.
Sounds
But
good, man. Well, good luck getting there, driving there from Michigan. Good luck
mhm.
getting your final preparations ready, getting your drop
Same
bags,
to
getting your
you.
gear, getting your nutrition, figuring out everything. Oh, I forgot to ask. Last question, real quick. Are you bringing poles or not?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
My first 50K, I brought a pair of like really like these are hiking trekking poles, like not even like running trekking poles.
Yeah.
And for like a 3 mile loop, I decided to try them out, and it was just a nightmare. And so,
Yeah.
um, I haven't decided to make the investment for like poles to actually learn how to use them yet. Not probably till I get to like a mountain race. Um,
Yeah.
but are you?
I don't really want to. I don't think I'm. I think I'm gonna bring them in. I might put them in a drop bag. I might put them in Blue Heron, that one that we're gonna see twice.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Like the climbs, they're not long enough. Like you said, it's
Hmm.
not. I mean, it is a mountain, semi-mountainous area,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's not a mountain race where you're climbing
For like an
3,000
hour.
feet for a couple hours. It's not. So I think it would be really useful probably during a lot of the creek crossings, but from what I've heard,
Yeah.
that's way at the end, like after
Hmm.
like the last 18 miles or so is when a lot of the creek crossings are.
Yeah.
So I'll probably put them in like that and maybe pick them up at like 68 miles or 62.
Hmm.
Um, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't like the way my pack is, like it's not like I can't really secure them really well, so they kind of
Oh
bounce around
yeah.
a little bit, so they're kind of annoying. It's on like a
When you're
bungee
not using
strap,
them.
and yeah, I
Hmm.
mean it's made for that. Like the Solomon pack is made to
Yeah, I've
have.
seen I've seen that like pack before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's made for it, but it's kind of annoying having them back there. So I'd rather like carry them, but then also it's like, I mean I've carried poles for 100 miles twice, and it's super annoying when you don't need them.
mm, yeah, I know. At least for me, like hills, I'm very much comfortable with the hands-on knees approach
Hmm.
for going up hills, and then the creek crossings. Um, we're just gonna roll with the punches at that point. Hopefully, it's
Yeah,
not like hopefully the water's not like freezing or anything. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm not going with
yeah.
them, but
Sounds
we'll
good.
see what happens.
Sounds good. All right, man.
All
Well, I'm
right.
gonna let you go. Good luck, like I said, getting there, doing all your final preparations and everything.
Yep.
I'll see you again soon. Okay, man. I'm going
Yeah,
to stick
see ya,
on here
man.
for a minute and answer a couple questions that people were asking. But yeah, take care, bud. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Yep. Have a safe travel.
You too. Later. All right. Well, thank you so much to Russell for joining me tonight. That was really fun. I'm pumped to do this race. There are a couple people there that I know. It's gonna be fun seeing people. It's gonna be fun running with people again, even if we're wearing masks the whole time. I'm pumped for it. I'm super pumped for it. So, gonna go through here and see there's a couple questions, a lot of like shout outs and stuff. So, what's up, Braden? Thanks for joining. Ultra Dad's here again. John Gardner's here. Let's see who else. MCM says, honestly, these non-elite stories from ultras are so much more interesting and compelling than hearing about PRs and course records the pros run. Awesome. That's great. So cool. Thank you. Laura Bellman, this discussion of the why is interesting. I will keep in mind as I'm doing a 12-hour race in 2 weeks. Nice. Good luck at your 12-hour race, Laura. Hopefully we didn't scare you with the why. Yeah. Let's see who else is here. Age only a number. I'm looking for trekking poles on Amazon for Prime Day. All that's listed are poles for hiking. Some say very lightweight, so maybe I'll go with a pair. Yeah, I don't know. The ones I have are nice. Black diamond, carbon fiber. I would not like. I have carbon fiber poles, and they were expensive, but I've had them for about 4 years, and I will never get anything lighter or anything heavier than that. Like, I know Lecky makes some really good poles, or carbon fiber. I mean, especially for 100 miles, like you don't want to be carrying around extra weight. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend poles. I would recommend buying nice ones, because, yeah, it's an investment. I understand that it's a lot of money, but you get what you pay for sure. Elliot says, any more runs from now until race day? Yeah, I'm gonna keep running. Just like, so tomorrow, I'm just gonna do like just short, quick runs. Like tomorrow, I'll probably do like a 3-miler, and then Thursday, probably like 2 or 3 miles before I head out. I'm still on my run streak, so I got to keep that up, which is going to be interesting because I don't know how run streaks work. If you do a 100-miler and it spans across 2 days, the Strava activity will only be on 1 day. So I might need to go for a run. I don't know. No, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll run from the end of the race to the car and then upload that to Strava and count that as my run for that next consecutive day. We'll see. James Odell says, your training is very inspiring. Thanks for sharing your experience with us. Now go get it, Ryan. Thanks, James. Daniel Gibson is here. Good luck from New Haven. Mandy says, how can we track you two during the race? Good question. There is a tracking website, but it's not active yet. If you go there, there's just nothing there. But I believe the link is on the actual No Business 100 website. So go check it out there. Jen Roomies from Sydney, Australia. What's up? Yeah, Moab 240. Actually, I think I already put that comment up there. Nice. Chase the Summit is here. No Business. Crush it, man. Awesome. Well, if you guys have any other questions, throw them in there. I'll see if I can answer. Stay on for another couple minutes or so. But yeah, at this point, I've got everything pretty much ready. Like I said, I've got all my gear. It was at one point laid out, all so I could see it. And then I've started kind of like I picked out what I'm going to wear for the start of the race, and then just kind of like seeing what I'm going to put in drop bags, because I will not have a pacer or crew for the whole race. But the drop bag situations are pretty good. You get 4 drop bags. So I'll be able to put like all my clothes and nutrition and stuff in there, which is what a crew would have anyway. The only thing I'll be missing out on is like the like seeing people I know. That could be really tough. But I've done it before, and yeah, the drop bags pretty much done. As far as like travel, all that, like I haven't really thought about that too much. I do have a hotel room and all that, but just getting close to being done. Tomorrow's the last day before the race, because Thursday's travel. So just need to make sure I'm done by then. But all right, guys. Let's see. Joel says, made my way through the pain cave, finished my first 50 miler. Nice. Thanks for your insights over the last couple months. Have been hammering the veggies during my recovery. Best of luck at no business. Nice. Awesome. Congrats, Joel, for finishing your 50 miler and for eating your veggies to recover. Awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I am, whoa, Chris Smith, both days count for the running streak. Awesome. I'm on day 1041. Whoa. Have you hit your 3 years yet? That's pretty close. It's pretty close to 3 years. Wow. That's awesome. Good job, man. That is so cool. I don't know how long I'm going to keep this up. If I keep it up, since I'm this close, it'd be really fun to hit a year. So yeah, I'll probably just upload some, my run from the finish line to the car, just to make sure something hits Strava, on that day. But we'll see. Maybe I'll reach out to the Facebook group and see what they say, because there is a Facebook group for run streakers, is what they call themselves. But yeah, that's honestly that's the least of my concerns right now. Yeah, Brayden says, yeah, don't you dare go for another run the same day you finish your 100 miler. Nice. Oh, Chris, December will be 3 years. Nice. Awesome. Congrats on that. That's really cool. So I'm going to wrap this up. This is probably the last. I don't think I'm going to have any more videos until after the race is over. So there'll be a few day break here on YouTube. I've been, uploading plus live 3 to 4 videos a week, but it's probably going to be about a week or so before I post again. So this is goodbye for a little bit. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about this race. I'm really excited for the race directors. Seem like they've put together just a really good plan. I'm excited to get down there and just go do this. We'll see what the weather brings. We'll see what the terrain brings. But yeah, it's coming down to go time. So thank you all for joining. Thank you all for sticking around. Thank you to those of you that watched this after the fact, watch the replay. Maybe I'll put this on the podcast too. There's been a lot of people asking what's going on with the podcast, but it's mostly because I've been really wanting to make these YouTube lives happen. And maybe I could repurpose this audio and just throw it on the podcast, because that was a pretty good discussion we had with Russell. So thanks again to Russell. Oh, and thanks you, Kevin Kint, for subscribing. That's awesome. But yeah, thanks again to Russell for showing up and just being awesome with your time and everything so close to the race, and just coming on the show and talking. Thank you all for joining, and I will see you guys again soon. I'll definitely do another live next week on Tuesday night, and we'll go through the whole race and how it went. Win, lose, drop out, finish, break a leg. I will be on Tuesday night. I'll be here live. So I will see you guys again then. Thank you so much for joining. See you later. Bye.